Oh man, he's back, guys. Sam Amick from The Athletic is here. There's been a lot going on. There's always a lot going on. So every time we bring you on, it's perfect timing.
It
Sam,
is.
first of all, good day. And secondly, what the hell happened with Taylor Jenkins in Memphis? Why did that seem so out of the blue to everyone?
Good morning, guys. Appreciate you having me. Little technical issues, but we good. We here. Taylor Jenkins, it's crazy because as we went to write our story, I didn't know how else to kind of frame it other than to say, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, okay, this isn't as wild as the Luka trade, but for this season, it's up there from a shock factor standpoint. But I'll be honest, then you dive in quickly and try to figure out the why and the what and get behind the curtain a little bit. And it makes a lot more sense now. Not saying good move, bad move, but this is a group that had gotten stagnant. This is a coaching staff, more specifically, that if you go back to last summer, the writing was really on the wall. And I'll be honest with you, nationally, we missed it. And what I memean by that is they swapped out Taylor's entire coaching staff, 5 assistants out, 5 assistants in. Lou and Chandler, as you guys know, like that's as big a warning sign as any when it comes to a head coach. Not only that, one of the main guys they brought over, Tuamas Isolo, they had a 7-figure buyout to get him out of his European contract, 7-figure salary when he came to town, very heavily invested in this guy. And so what seems clear to me now is that Taylor was, in the last stages of like, unless you pull off a miracle here, we're really interested in having this new guy take over with some of his more innovative offensive concepts and as far as how the organization saw it. So Ja Morant at the center of all of that, of course, but still pretty stunning stuff.
Okay, the 7-figure stuff, I don't think we realized. That is, God, why would Taylor Jenkins even want to be there then? That seems like a long time to know that your replacement's standing right behind you.
Right.
Right? But then I guess the timing, and you mentioned Ja Morant. Number one, was he on board? I know everyone's saying nobody was consulted and the GM saying it was all on him, but we always look right away to the star of a team when a coach is fired, especially when it's in surprising times. So where was he on this?
So our information is that he was on Team Taylor, if you will, until the very end and all the way until the end. That he, I don't know to what degree, he complained when the move happened. As far as whether they were consulted, you guys know it. It's always unimaginable that they didn't obviously take a pulse. I will say, I don't know specifically in Ja's camp what the communication was like, but every other camp that we connected with, all the main ones, they all said they were shocked that they didn't see this coming. They didn't know this was around the corner. But that's the fascinating part, and this is an imperfect comparison, but having kind of just lived through the whole De'Aaron Fox saga in Sacramento, I see a couple of comparisons here where you've got the star in the middle that, you're doing things that are dangerous, I think, where you're almost compelling that player to be even less comfortable in a place that was already going in the wrong direction. So with Ja, it's like he didn't like the offense. That is something that we can kind of definitively say. And I'm talking about the new one, the one that the non-Taylor Jenkins offense, that he was not enjoying the evolution of his role. And now for them to lean even farther into it, seemingly, seems a little precarious.
So then can we start to plan for Ja's next team? Is that writing on the wall as well?
I mean, they say no, obviously. Zach Kleiman, the Grizzlies GM, this was probably 3 weeks ago. My buddy and colleague from The Ringer, Howard Beck, had said on a podcast that he heard that we should all look out for Ja to, maybe be on the move. I thought it was fascinating that Zach, it wasn't even like a hard report. It wasn't, headlines and breaking news, just something somebody said on a podcast that made the rounds. And next thing you know, Zach is publicly commenting on it and saying, that other teams can keep dreaming and we're not going to move Ja. But it's in the same, again, a little bit of the same vibe of the Fox situation, which is like, all right, keep your eyes on it and see where it goes.
Man.
Yeah, Sam, I wanted to ask, as far as the coaching, like you just mentioned the 7-figure buyout to get him over there. Do they look around the league at other candidates, or do you feel like they've pretty much found their guy?
I mean, it feels like, and just in my experience, it's kind of like just follow the money and follow the breadcrumbs. And it feels like, it would surprise me that they would go to these lengths to bring him to town and then cut ties with him this summer. Hopefully you guys have me. I think it might be chopping up a little bit.
We hear
We
you.
can hear you.
But,
we can't see you. We
we'll
can hear
see.
you.
They're 0-2. Okay. All right. Well, that's a great shot. I'm looking lovely.
Could be worse.
Yeah,
Could be worse.
I think they're 0-2. Yeah. They're 0-2 since he took over. I think the finish matters, no pun intended, since he's finished. But I don't know. It feels like, this is an organizational decision to go with him. But we'll see if I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, it seems like you said, it seems like the writing's on the wall for this guy to come in here, kind of fill that next, role as head coach here. But for Taylor Jenkins, obviously, I don't think this is his last stop as a head coach, right? I jokingly, halfway kidding, think he could go to Philly, a team like that I think is going to be in the market for a head coach. Do you think Taylor Jenkins gets another shot at being a head coach of the league?
Yeah, I do. I feel like his reputation's in a really good place. It's partly, I think, the benefit of, you could look at the Memphis tenure in a couple of different ways. They had so much success, multiple 50-plus win seasons. I think internally there was that frustration that the playoff success wasn't there. He's 9-14 in the postseason. This year, they're 11-20 under him against teams that were over 500. So I almost feel like, outside looking in, people are going to see a guy who was a foundational member of a small market group that did, exciting things, and was on the verge of being a real contender. And his part in that, when it came to the culture, when it came to the mentality and the stuff on the floor, he seemed to have everybody's respect. And really up until the end. I mean, even Desmond Bain and Ja Morant, these guys, Jaren Jackson, you don't hear anybody kicking them on the way out. It's an organizational decision. So the optics for Taylor, for the rest of the league and his hireability, if you will, I think are really good. In my neck of the woods, Sacramento fans immediately started talking about, how do you feel about Taylor maybe coming this way? I think, he's a very good coach and a guy with a good rep. So I expect him to land on his feet for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, San Antonio. I have to keep hearing that. I'm like, oh, well, he did start here, and that's kind of a thing.
Thank you, Michelle. I am glad you mentioned that. I know you're the all things Spurs expert. He is for sure.
Who, me?
You hear about this? Yeah. This kind of informal discussion that we keep having about the Pop successor, and certainly no one's trying to kick the legend out before he wants to go. But
sure.
Taylor is somebody who is widely discussed on that list as well.
I knew it. Okay, Giannis, you wrote about him.